So productivity for working professionals. All right. So why do I focus on productivity? Why is it that in the very first stage, the first level of personal development, why do I emphasize more on productivity? The reason being, only when you start becoming productive, only when you start having a little bit extra time for yourself, can you explore something new. All right, even for you to get into this master class, you had to manage your priorities, you had to prioritize this master class, this live mastermind, on top of everything else, right? So in a way, every day we are prioritizing things. And uh, and I'll be giving you a definition, my own definition of what productivity is now. All right, so let's get started with this. This is mainly focusing on working professionals. Let's see what are the two kinds of tasks or activities that we go through day in and day out. All right, mainly these are the two classifications: non mind intensive, second one is mind intensive. These are the two kinds of tasks that we usually put ourselves through, that we usually work on day in and day out. What is it about a non mind intensive task? All right, let's see what are the characteristics of a non mind intensive task. First one being, muscle memory is sufficient. Let's say just want to go and clean my desk. Do I have to think too much? No, I just know how to do it. All right, muscle memory is more than sufficient, doesn't need too much of thinking. So what does that do? It can, you can accommodate multiple activities in within that short duration of time. I can be listening to a podcast, I can be cleaning my desk, and also I can be probably having a short conversation with someone else, right? These are all non mind intensive activities. What is the fourth characteristic of this? You can get it done with this distractions as well. Even though you are in a crowded place, let's say you're checking your message and smsing or whatsapping someone, you can still do that because it's non mind intensive. All right, now let's come to the mind intensive kind of activities. Let's see what are the characteristics of this. Needs deep thinking and problem solving abilities. I'm sure every day when you go to work, this is exactly what you do, right? You are expected to complete your some task. It becomes very, very mind intensive, which means it can also be time intensive. Cannot multitask as it results in low quality output. If you really want great quality in whatever you're doing, better get to stop multitasking and start focusing on that one activity for that period of time. The fourth characteristic of this is, if it's mind intensive, if you're constantly getting distracted, then you cannot do any deep work. All right, so uh, the more mind intensive it is, the lesser the distractions that you need to go through for you to, one, have a quality output, and two, for you to finish on time. All right, so if you understood these two broad classifications of the kind of activities that we do day in and day out, just type 2A. That's two activities in the chat box. Just type 2A. All right, thank you for that. Thanks for that. So now let me talk about my definition for productivity. All right, how do I look at productivity as? This is something which I was thinking about today, and this is what I came up with. All right, as per, I'm sure you can relate to this. All right, what is productivity? Productivity is the ability to spend focused time to do deep work on one activity without distractions, that helps you solve problems, resulting in quality output in a timely manner. This is the definition, according to me, what productivity is. If I want to gauge myself, if I want to look at some task that I've done, and if I want to say that, okay, it was a productive task, productive outcome, I evaluate based on all these things. Okay, did I spend focused time on this? Did I do deep work? I do not like to do shallow work. I want to just go deep and do the best possible way. Did I focus on just one activity during this time period? Did I do it without distractions? Did I solve specific problem, or at least attempt in the best possible way to do it? Was the output of great quality? And obviously, once you constantly do this, you can reach your targets well within the time. All right. So if you like this definition of productivity, just type liked it in the chat box. If you liked, if you can resonate with, if you can totally relate with this definition of productivity. All right. And then I'm going to be sharing some productivity tips, mainly focusing on working professionals. All right. So this is what I personally feel is what productivity means to me. All right. uh, Now, yeah, thanks for all the comments. So now let's see productivity tips. All right. So how do you become productive? So like I just said, uh, first, for me, the very important thing, first activity that I want to help you with when it comes to productivity is to help you have more time. Okay, first, I want to help you get more time out of all your daily activities, and then see how to make better use of this. All right, this is what it is. If you want to spend focus time, first of all, you need that time, right? So that is the intention here. As a working professional, we go through all these things day in and day out, right? So lots of meetings, managing emails, you have your break times, commute time, and probably you're also working from home now. So I just picked some of these categories, and I want to just share some points here. All right. So setting your meetings right, that is the first category under trying to find a little bit more time. So how do you do that? First thing, under setting your meetings right, the kind of meetings that you schedule or someone else schedules to have you in the room. First one is, don't accept meetings that doesn't need you. There is something called decline button. Please use that. Please start using the decline. You can always write a note saying why you're declining this meeting. If you're not needed, please don't go into the meetings. That is one of the biggest productivity killers. Some people randomly keep adding members into their meeting, but you can just go talk to them and tell them that you are not going to be adding any value to this meeting, or this meeting is not going to add any value to you, therefore you have declined it. It's fair enough. All right. People will appreciate if you constantly do that. People will stop calling you into unnecessary meetings. First thing, don't conduct meetings for more than 15 minutes unless the situation really demands. This I've been following uh, for quite some time within in my work. I don't create any meetings beyond 15 minutes, because I feel like if it's beyond 15 minutes, that means one, either I am not well prepared, or the other person coming into the meeting is not well prepared, and we're just going to be talking lots of things other than the focused discussion point. All right. So if you are creating meetings, try this out. If needed, you can create one more 15-minute slot later on, but just start trying this out. 15-minute slots. Make sure people come prepared. Give them the what we are going to get out of this meeting well in advance. Let them come prepared. Conduct 15-minute meetings and just get out of the room. All right. So this is the second thing you want to just try implementing this. All right. I've seen some good results doing this. As I said, urge people to come well prepared. Meeting point should not be the place where people start thinking about what's going on there. Thinking should happen outside. Decision making is what mostly should happen in the meeting. Yes, there can be some brainstorming sessions always, but at least your first level of thinking should happen outside the meeting. All right. So if you are conducting meetings, or if you're part of meetings, try implementing this thing, and bring in a culture of zero gadget meetings if possible. If you're working from home, probably you have to connect over your laptop, but even during that time, don't be on your phone, don't get distracted, and just stay focused with things. And if you're in a physical meeting, see if you can avoid your laptops, mobile phones outside the meeting room. Get into the meeting. You'll see that 15 minutes is really really sufficient to get lots of things done. All right. So if you got this, setting the meetings right, just type meeting in the chat box. All right, just type meeting in the chat box. So now let's get on to the next big thing that usually we have to deal with, right? Managing emails. How do you manage emails? This is something which I follow. All right, this is what I follow. Unless an email has that important, that big red exclamation important mark, I don't open it as soon as it hits my inbox. I still get the notification. Sometimes I turn on, turn off notification, but if it's not a very important one, I just don't open it. Which means, do I never open it? No, that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, I've put in 3 time slots in a day where I read emails and respond to emails. Other times, people know that I will not be responding to emails. If there is going to be a response, they know that Karthik will only respond between these 3 time slots. And if it's anything very important, they will send me with an important exclamation mark. If it's so urgent that it has to be done within the next 30 minutes, I get it with that exclamation mark. This is the expectation that I have set. And once you start responding to emails immediately, because you know it's not so urgent, and you start responding in specific time slot, people will start adjusting to that. All right, so just try this out. Emails, super productivity killers. We think writing emails is a great way to communicate. Actually, no. It's a more of a time killer than being productive. All right, so if there is a possibility, just maybe send out a message or even have a direct chat with them and get things resolved. Well, this is about the meetings, about the emails, and there will be something more which I'll be talking about in the future sessions. But for now, just see if you can start implementing these 2 things. 3 time slots in a day to check and respond to emails, unless very important. All right. If you got this about how do you manage the email part, just type emails in the chat box, and let's get to the next thing. Take time. I'm not saying I'm not going to talk about not having breaks. In fact, I say that have more breaks than what you're already having. But let's see what's coming here. Be stick to the break timings. Other colleagues might just stretch you beyond the timings. It's okay to do it sometime. Sometimes it's always fun to hang out with your friends, with your colleagues. But if you constantly overdo this, you are just taking your time for granted. All right, more than anyone else taking your time for granted, you yourself are taking your time for granted. That's a big no when it comes to productivity. First, that's the first point. And uh, I've seen this happen to myself many times. I just don't have water bottle on my desk. Therefore, I go and try to get water bottle, and just I'll be lost in that conversation with someone in the pantry or near the water bottle. It's fun, but if I when I started overdoing it, my productivity just dipped. What happened because of that? I just had to stretch my day. I had to finish things towards the late into the evening, and that created a cycle of bad effects towards the next day and the next day and all these things. So just be mindful about how you're spending your breaks, and don't overstretch it. I'm not saying don't have breaks. In fact, have more breaks than what you're doing now. That's always very important. Stand up, walk, get a look into the garden or into the trees if that's there. Have a chat with your friends, colleagues, but don't overdo that. All right, this is the third thing. And the fourth big thing, which is probably cut off for the time being because we're all working from home, is the commute time. Or it's a big productivity killer. More than anything, it saps the energy out. Specifically, if you're in a place like Bangalore, if you have to travel a lot of place, a lot of distance, and all that. So, what you can do, if this is a possibility, right? Don't drive on your own. Hire a cab or take some public transport if that's a possibility. That will really save a lot of energy, a lot of the mind cycle time, because you don't have to be focused uh, on the traffic. You actually can be learning few things. And the second thing is, use this time, as I said, to relax. Listen to some music, get relaxed before you go to work, or listen to some music before you burn out all those things that happened at work, so that you can step into your house as a son, as a husband, as a brother, as a wife, as a sister, as a human. All right, you shouldn't be stepping into your house again as an employee. All right, if you got this in your head, just type "step in the chat box. And the same holds good when you step into your office as well. even if you're working from home, right? So when you step in, you have to be the best employee possible. When you step out and you step in back to your house, be the best brother, best sister, best husband, best wife possible at your house. All right, so these are the tips, and let's see what comes, because probably most of us are still working from home. Let's see what's coming under this. So if you're working from home, uh, it's very easy for people to keep calling you and asking you to a lot of things. Yes, Dheeraj, nice. Listen to some cool music. Change the mind and get back to the next thing. All right, that's great. So while working from home, what do? Set the expectations at home about your learning or work time. Clearly indicate them from when to when you're not available. In fact, I just told the people at my house that I'm not available from 8 to 8:30, and I'll be catching up for dinner at 8:30. That's how I set the expectation, so that I don't want them to disturb me, or nor I should be going and disturbing them when they have their own, personal space and all that. Both ways, all right? So this is the first way you can have adjust things, you can prioritize things, organize things a bit so that you get a little bit more time. And why should you get more time? I'll be telling you. And I want to keep you busy, all right? I want to keep you busy with this community, because this is where the growth happens. This is where you come and recharge your batteries week after week. All right, that's why I want to make sure that you get a little bit more time. And now let's see what's coming up in the second point here. So this was the first big point, right? Getting more time. And now that you have a little bit more time, how do you make better use of it? Let's see. Let's see what's coming under this. Right? Uh, how do you see? Having more time is great, but what do you make use of? What do you do with the time? It's altogether a different game. And what are the kinds of distractions? There are two broad kinds of distractions that happens: external distractions and internal distractions. Let me go through this to let you know what are these things. External distractions: mobile, laptop, put them on do not disturb mode. All right, I just wanted to talk about this story of a man who went crazy to an extent that he uninstalled all the network drivers. He took a very old laptop. He used to go sit, and when people asked him, he said, I really did not want to be distracted. You don't have to go that crazy. You can make use of the do not disturb modes and all the other things to make sure that you know that external distractions are not affecting you. Don't work with your TV on. How many of you do that? How many of you sleep with your TV on? How many of you work with your TV on? If you do not, then just type do not. That's still okay. The one biggest thing I eliminated from my room is I gave away my TV. Just with that, so many different positive things happened. All right, so please don't do anything with your TV on. If you want to keep your TV on, please go watch the IPL match, then get back to whatever you're doing. All right, cool. Thank you for that. So don't be in a crowded or noisy area. Obviously, this creates distraction. Turn off your browser pop-ups. A lot of times I see people mindlessly clicking allow whenever that pop-up happens on your browser, and you know what happens? All those pop-ups keeps coming up again and again, and that's a big distraction. So turn off all the pop-up browsers. Just Google for how do you turn it off. You'll find lots of ways to do it. And put your office messenger or communicator on do not disturb mode when you're doing that deep focused work. If you constantly interact with someone in your team, like very regularly, keep them notified that this time I'm going to be working on something very important. I do not want to be disturbed. Anything, please drop me a message after that, or I'll look at the messages after that. Okay, please start doing all these things. These are all the external distractions that you can kind of see how you can avoid in different ways by implementing all these things. All right, so there are other things called internal distractions, and I learned about these two things from the book called Indistractable by Neer Ayal. A very good book on how do you avoid all these things. The second type is internal distractions. Urge to view the news. How many of you want to know what happened with Ukraine Russia war? That urge, that internal urge that happens. I sometimes I get the urge on to check the tennis course. I get all these kinds of urge. View social media. I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things by not being on social media. How many of you get this kind of an urge? It's not wrong. It's not at all wrong. All right. We all go through this. Third one, we get that urge to talk to friends and family. And the pro tip here, the pro tip, all right, this this is going to, I'm sure you'll get a bulb on moment with this. The pro tip is, I'm not asking you to avoid internal distractions. No, that's not the point. The book name is Indistractable. Actually, that was a new word that was coined, Indistractable. All right, so you can. I'll also leave a link once I upload this video in our Inner Circle Mastermind. You can check that out. So don't try to avoid these things. Just have time blocks where you can do these activities. This is a pro tip. I'm not asking you to avoid news. I would be more than happy if you can, but if you cannot, if there's a lot of urge, just time block it. Let's say 8:30 to 9 o'clock is when I will just binge watch social media, watch all the news, talk to friends. Awesome. But once you have time blocked for something, don't use some other time block to do the same thing. If you're going to implement some or many of these things to eliminate external and internal distractions, just type ED, that's for eliminate distractions. Just type ED in the chat box. Let's just type ED if you got all these things. Thank you. Thank you. Now, let's say you have more time and you're eliminating distraction, all that. How do you still get more out of the time that you have? How do you still get more? Because time management is, some say it's a myth. There's no actual concept called time management. It's all about managing your focus, managing your energies. All right, managing your energy the right way. Very, very important. If you really want to increase your productivity, this is going to be very important for you. All right. Let's see what's coming under this. First one, get up from your seat every 45 minutes and walk for 10 to 15 minutes. Just that the kind of blood flow that happens, the kind of deeper breaths that you're going to take, that itself going to give a different kind of energy in your body. All right, so maybe keep a alarm every 45 minutes so that you don't miss this out. If you cannot even move out of your desk because you're doing something very urgent, at least stand and do it. Stand for some time, maybe a couple of minutes, do it, sit back, and then take a break and just walk around for 5 to 10 minutes. Very important for if you want to have higher energy. Have regular breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, you might be wondering, what is this? Karthik is supposed to be a career coach. Is supposed to be talking about career growth and all that. It'll happen only when you input things into your body right. All right, you are what you eat. That's a very famous quote, right? You are what you eat. And if you want to be that high energy person who can do more things and still be left with a lot of energy towards the end of the day, start eating right. I did not say rice, I said right. All right, start eating right and have regular breakfast, lunch, dinner times. All right, watch your food, watch what you eat. And the next very, very, very important thing, which most people think productive people don't do, it's many things that productive people don't sleep enough. Let me tell you that productive people sleep at least for 8 hours every day. Can you make this a non-negotiable thing? Just put N in the chat box. This should be a non-negotiable thing. 8 hours of sleep, must and should, non-negotiable. I'm averaging almost 7 hours 45 minutes for the last 2 weeks. I track it using this smartwatch which I'm wearing now. All right, so if you got this, and if you don't be okay with cutting down your sleep, very very important. All right. Excuse me. So if you got all these things on how you can manage your energy better, type energy in the chat box. Let's just type energy in the chat box. And these are some things which I've implemented. Most of the things. I go for a 1 hour walk, kind of short exercises every day. That's becoming kind of a non-negotiable. 8 hours of sleep becoming kind of non-negotiable in my day-to-day routines, and I want you to get into this kind of a habit. All right. So if you think this was something useful that you can start applying right away, that can help you, just type useful in the chat box. Please type useful.